long time, Montreux Energy has been holding conferences on the supply side. So we've done work with OPEC, we've looked at coal, we've looked at alternative energy. Again, many times looking at where supply of energy is coming from. But I think there's got to be a much more thoughtful discussion, and there is. We're not into new territory. There are a lot of very good discussions as to where demand needs to go. But I think, as the biologists remind us, the best place to look for wildlife is where the water meets the land, and so we're trying to cover that important dialogue between the supply side and the demand side, so that the supply side understands better where the demand is coming from and what form it needs to be demanded in or supplied in. And the demand side has a more realistic, I think a much more realistic understanding that we just can't put solar panels on every roof and have all of our energy needs and our mobility needs and our heating and cooling and electricity needs met.
But they're very interested in what does it take for a municipality to adopt a smarter grid. If you want to be able to support electrical vehicles, what do you need to get there? What are the steps? A lot of people have those questions. Or if they're debating, if they've got water quantity or quality problems, and they see or they're thinking about ways in which they might be able to progressively help solve the problem. We're hoping this game can help, tailor and explain, here's short-term benefits, here's longer-term benefits, here's how things add upon each other to be able to solve problems. Serious games are not the panacea to teach everything, but they're very good at explaining complex systems. And again, this notion of using metaphor to show how things work. And if you bring in this level of collaboration, you now are tapping into the masses and their knowledge to be able to solve solutions. So again, I think, it's tempting to first say, well, this isn't worth it because we can't get into the nitty-gritty details. But I think the opposite. It's really important that we understand, at the very least, from a 50,000-foot view, what the heck these complex systems mean before we dive in to the nitty-gritties. If we don't even understand from a 50,000-foot view, how are we able to support electrical vehicles on a smarter grid? How can we ever be able to understand deeper than that, right?
But I think Denver is both an energy capital and a sustainability capital. And if you think of Calgary and Houston, Denver's right on that axis. But also, if you look at some of the cities that have been very forward-thinking, such as Seattle and Portland and San Francisco and Chicago and Boston, Denver's already also on that axis. So we have, I think, a real role to play nationally and I think internationally with all the events that have gone on in Denver, and a role to play in providing leadership.
Okay. The people that are attending this conference, what do you want them to walk away with? Business contracts, business cards, more information?
I love the idea of it being deal friendly and having some real projects. And we've worked hard to make sure that the companies and the participants are not just coming to talk. They actually do have ideas that either are for sale or need to be somehow moved through the economy. But I also think that we're not interested in just giving everybody a 3-ring binder, because we know where the 3-ring binders go. They go on a bookshelf and they get dust, and that's it. We really feel we want to help bring about some new relationships. So by having a natural gas company talking to an architect, for example, I do hope that we can learn from each other and have a little bit better understanding of what the other is looking at.